You know, comedy is a very elusive and delicate thing. But everybody wants to be a comedian. You've been at parties where the guy puts the lampshade on his head and runs around. You know, Sam, you do this all the time. Got a whole orchestra puts lampshades on. But everybody wants to be a comedian. So I thought in the second half of our show tonight, I would give a little seminar on comedy. And it's really very simple when you know the little tricks. So I thought tonight that I would give you some of the tricks, and perhaps you won't need the lampshade. Now, the very first thing you have to learn when you're a comedian is the double take. Now, you probably have seen a double take. That's where a guy goes like this. Yes. That's called a double take. Then there are triple takes, where a guy yells out the window, "The safe is coming down." You say, "What, huh? Ooh." Now, there are other double takes, which I'd like to show you. Would you bring out the table, please? Now, thank you. Oh, baby. That's a double take, too. Now, for instance, if you open a box and you look in the box and there's nothing in there, well, that's not too funny. But supposing you have a box like this and you hold it up and you... That's called a bug-eye take. Now, there is another take, which I studied for 3 years, which is called the cough take. Now, in this box, for instance, there is a 3-pound wedge of Facciamara's mozzarella cheese. Now, you take the cover off and you give it, oh. That is a cough. Now, there are what we call action takes. For instance, would you mind opening the curtain, please? Now we have 3 type doors here. This one is obviously the door to a dentist's office. And a man comes in great pain, and he wants to be relieved. But watch what happens to him when he hears a little action. Then we have this door here, which is obviously the door into a very high executive office. This is what we call the slow down take. The gentleman that enters this door has been practicing all month how he's going to ask his boss for a raise. And he's got it all figured out. His wife has got him all fired up, but somehow or another he slows down. He does it something like this. All right, Mr. Watson. All right, I'm telling you something right now. I've been working for this office for 9 years. What am I getting? A stinking $63 a week. Well, I gotta have more money. I got a wife and kids. Don't you realize this Butterman? Don't you? Listen, At the door to the gents' room. Then we have a door that is positively assured of laughs. The door to the maternity ward, when the young father just arrives to find out how the baby is. Nurse, 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 where's the kid? What does it look like? Huh? What do you mean, not 1? 2? 3? 4? 5 kids? I've got 5 kids. I've got 5 kids. 5 kids. I've got 5 kids. That door was in a little tight. I have 5 kids and 3 teeth. Another great thing that helps comedy, as well as having a bunch of beautiful girls dancing, the June Taylor dances, plenty of great writers, a fine orchestra, wonderful stage hands, is sound effects. Now, some things are absolutely nothing without sound effects. For instance, nothing, but watch this. Trouble is, I don't know whether that was a sound effect.
Would you bring it out, please?
This is a surefire laugh if you're at a party. Thank you, dear. See you later. This is a surefire laugh. This is called the swallow sound effect. First, you mix a martini. Pour it into the glass. Put in an olive, and then you toast. Another thing is the dance. The dance is nothing without sound effects. For instance, a little music, Sam. Now, with sound effects. With or without sound effects, that's a little strenuous, you know. Now, you wouldn't think that walking across railroad tracks would be humorous. And maybe you're right. Here it is without sound effects. Nothing, but with sound effects. Of course, the Three Stooges had this kind of comedy down to a T. It's called Rough House. Would you mind coming out, please? Thank you, Mr. Gronwald. Now, this means nothing, but this does. Now, if you want to take somebody's nose off, this is the way to do it. If you want to punch somebody in the mouth, there's only one way. That didn't hurt, did it? Certainly. Thank you very much, Mr. Gronwald.
Mr. Gleason.
Yes?
There's one sound effect you forgot.
I did. And there is what is called surprise comedy. For instance, no greater way to get a laugh than to throw a pie. But it's not as easy as it looks. There are techniques, and I would like to explain a few of them to you. Would you please bring that out, Mildred? Thank you, dear. Just have the small radio. How do you do, Mr. Morgan?
How do you do, sir?
You're looking horrible. Johnny Morgan, as you know, is one of the nation's great comedians, great monologists. It's a strange thing about pie throwing. Throwing an apple pie, or a blueberry pie, or a peach pie, never got a big laugh, no matter how hard they tried. It was always the cream cake. This beauty right here. Look at how it shakes and wobbles. Isn't that a beautiful thing? You have no idea how this relieves you when you throw it. Now, the first of the correct ways of throwing a pie I would like to describe is the push. This is a straightforward, absolutely sure, no miss way of getting a pie to the comic's kisser. Would you mind facing me, please? It's just a slow forward thrust. You turn around and let me see how nice that's done. Notice the beautiful circle of cream going around the face. The waterfall of cream coming down. How it goes through every strand of hair. That's art, friends. Now, the next is the push and grind. This is a sure winner. Would you mind facing me, Mr. Morgan? Notice the bullseye effect. But when all is said and done, the good old toss has always been a favorite for many years and will perhaps remain so. This is done with a follow-through, so as much spray as can take place, the better. Boom! Notice the follow-through. Notice how it seems to go leeward. Just recently, ladies and gentlemen, a new technique was discovered by a comedian in New York City called Soupy Sales. It is called the cymbal crash. Would you mind facing me, please? This is a doozy. Table off, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you something. I am very sorry that happened. Because there's one thing that you'll never see in a Jackie Gleason show, and that's anybody throwing a pie at the great Gleason. I'll tell you that.